Hey Danny, this was originally supposed to be a response to your video about the Dungeon Masters, but since I'm a little bit behind on things, I'm going to reply to the Inquiry RPG video as well. Now to cover a few things kind of briefly, you mentioned the World of Warcraft thing. Yeah, that's a generalization. There's certainly a lot of bleed over in RPG hobbies between different things that people that are geeks like, and that's a common one. But of course, not everybody applies to that. As well, the GM who was very possessive of his players, I think that that guy also mentioned that he made a lot of moral decisions. You know, you were mentioning how he killed his players because he felt they were being too greedy. That's kind of making judgments on your players that I really wouldn't suggest a GM should do either. But my main problem with this movie was summed up by Dungeon Master 5.0's comment that they are socially inept. They are broken. They do not fit in with regular society. And those were the people that were selected to be in this video. Now, I understand the reason for this, because you're going to get more views, you're going to get more interest in a story that is about people that the general populace can stand back, look at, and see the problems with, and kind of enjoy that on some rather sick level, but it is what it is. And that's my main problem with it. There are other movies along this whole genre. I can recommend some. So I'm weird and I don't necessarily have the cases for all the movies I own. This one is called Uber Goober. It's a kind of an odd spelling, but I've put a link to it. And it is not ideal, but it does give a better overall look at the hobby. It's treated a lot more like a documentary. They talk about where the game came from, the growing pains that it's experienced. They talk to people who are in different aspects of it, and it does a pretty good job. But of any movie that really includes Dungeons and Dragons or role-playing as an element, my favorite is Astropia. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. It's Icelandic. So if you want to watch it, I hope you don't mind subtitles. Now, this is kind of a cliched story, but it's well told and it's kind of an enjoyable little movie. Yeah, there are some stereotypes, but they don't overdo it. The characters are still functional and they're normal enough people. It's a fun little story and I do recommend it. I've put a link to both down below in notes. So if you've been watching a few of the more recent videos I've put out, you're probably not surprised that I'm a big fan of your idea with the whole Inquiry RPG and showing actual people who play this game, because I think that there has to be more of an image of us out there that is a positive one. And I hope that your videos will do a lot to build on that. And I'd like to help you at least as much as I can in that regard. So I've come up with a few questions for you. So there's some questions that I'm sure you've already thought of, like how did they get into role-playing games? What relationships have they made from the table that have moved elsewhere? And you could also say, how has that hobby affected their relationships? Have they met people who treated them different when they found out about the hobby? Whatever the case might be. Of course, you can talk about skills that people have learned. You had a recent video about confidence and that being an important factor. You can talk about what other hobbies people have, how much of a financial investment they place in this hobby, how much paraphernalia they acquire, what they acquire, and of course the time spent in and out of game on this hobby. When it really comes down to it, I think what you kind of want to show people, I'm guessing, is what the hobby is really like for the people for whom it's a part of their life. Anyway, I love the new idea for the series, and if I can help you in any way, let me know. Thanks.